14 months after I closed on a waterfront house in Pensacola, Florida, I got a letter from an attorney. They were suing me for $100,000. And before that lawsuit was over, I made a decision that sounds completely insane on the surface. I bought the house back for $107,000 more than I sold it for. Then, right as I was about to cash out for a massive profit, a hurricane ripped the entire first floor out of the ground. I'm gonna walk you through every single decision I made on this deal, from the original purchase all the way through the hurricane. What I did right, what I did wrong, and the 3 frameworks I now use on every flip to protect myself when things go sideways. Because they will go sideways. The only question is whether you're ready when they do. Let's go back to late 2016. At this point, I'm sending out 30 to 40,000 pieces of direct mail every single month. Postcards, letters, all of it. The phones are ringing constantly, and I'm sorting through deals every single week. And I get a call on this house on Mackey Cove Drive in Pensacola, Florida. It's right on the water, huge house, beautiful. More expensive than anything I'd bought before. Here's the backstory on the seller. The woman who owned the house, her son used to fish off the property constantly. He loved it there, and he passed away at a very young age. She just couldn't be there anymore. Every time she walked out to the dock, every time she looked at the water, she thought of him. She was ready to fire sale the house. Now, as is, without touching a single thing in this house, it was worth $450,000 to $500,000 all day, no question at all. I bought it for $350,000, January 19th, 2017. That's $100,000 to $150,000 of instant equity before I touch a single thing. That's the deal. And here's how I funded it. I didn't even use a bank. A friend of mine loaned the full $350,000 out of his self-directed IRA. I came out of pocket maybe $15,000 to $20,000 in closing costs, that's it. He got a solid return on his IRA money. I got the deal done without a bank. That's a structure worth understanding if you haven't seen it before. And I've got videos on this channel that talk about that. Now, the clock starts ticking. 4 months of renovation, full gut, all the bathrooms redone, first floor completely finished. We staged it, photographed it, the whole thing. Renovation was just over $120,000. Holding costs on top of that, loan interest, taxes, insurance, utilities, another $20,000 to $30,000. I'm all in at roughly $500,000 on a house I believe is worth $640,000 to $650,000. That's the spread, that's the play. We listed at the end of May 2017 and it takes off immediately. House of the month. Packed open houses, great realtor, tons of showings. Right out of the gate, I go under contract for $620 grand. I'm sitting there running the numbers, and after commissions, 5% for both sides, closing costs, all my holding costs, I'm walking away somewhere between $75,000 and $80,000 profit on this one house. About 18 months of work and almost no money out of my pocket, and the math works. And then the buyer just disappears. She had no realtor, no communication, cancels the contract, gone, no explanation. Now, here's something I want to pause on, because this is a situation every flipper faces eventually. And most people don't talk honestly about what it does to the deal. When a house falls out of contract and goes back on the market, buyers notice. They start asking, what's wrong with it? The momentum you spent months building, gone. The showings slow down, the offers get lower, and the longer it sits, the worse the perception gets. There's nothing wrong with this house, but perception is price, perception is value. So I drop the price, then I drop it again, then again. And by fall of 2017, I'm sitting around $550,000, which at that point is basically break even for me after everything I'm into it for. And here's where most people make the wrong move. The instinct is to hold. Keep waiting for the right buyer. You're emotionally invested. You've put real money into this thing, and selling it at a break even feels like losing. But here's the principle. Time is a cost. Every month that house sits, I'm paying interest, insurance, taxes, utilities. My break-even number is moving in the wrong direction. Break-even today is a loss 60 days from now. So I keep adjusting. 6 months after the first buyer disappeared, December 2017, I finally get another offer. I ended up selling that house on January 17th, 2018 for $525,000 to a sweet older couple from Alabama. Retirement dream, home on the water, they're thrilled. I lost $20,000 on that deal. I took the loss, I moved on. But here's what I didn't know. About 14 months later, spring of 2019, I got a letter from an attorney. Failure to disclose. The claim, I covered up wood rot and termite damage around the windows and knowingly sold them a house with hidden defects. The initial demand was $50,000. Now, My attorney took one look at the situation and tells me something I've never forgotten. He said, "This isn't just any attorney. She specifically targets real estate investors and flippers. She's aggressive, she knows what she's doing, and the fact that I'm a known flipper in the area makes me a target." So we lawyer up. The attorneys start going back and forth, and I'm watching legal fees stack up in real time while producing exactly 0 results. And then they double the demand. Now they want $100,000. This is the moment I want you to pay attention to, because I want you to think about what you would do here before I tell you what I did. You've got 2 obvious options. Option 1, write the check, settle, sign something, make it go away. It's cheaper than a long litigation fight. It's the path of least resistance. Option 2, fight it. Spend money on attorneys, drag it out, risk losing more in the end. Most people choose option 1, not because they're guilty, but because the path of least resistance is always the most tempting when you're stressed and you just want this to be over. I chose option 3. We ended up going to mediation. I drive down to Pensacola, I'm in a room with my attorney, they're in another room with their attorney, and there's another third attorney who's a mediator that goes back and forth between us trying to find a number and put this thing to bed. They push for cash, I say no. They push harder, I say no again, and then I made them a different offer entirely. I said, "I'm not signing anything that says I did something wrong," because I didn't. Because here's what I will do. I'll buy the house back for exactly what you paid for it. And they ended up pushing back, saying they made some improvements. They put in a dock, custom shelving, they did work throughout the property. I said, "That's fine. Add it all up and tell me what it is." And they came back at $632,000. Now, I want to stop right here, because from the outside, this looks completely insane. I sold the house for $525,000. I lost $20,000 on that deal when I sold it. I got sued by the people who bought it, and now I'm about to buy it back for $632,000, which is $107,000 more than I sold it for in the first place. You might be thinking, "Bill, you turned a $20,000 loss into a huge disaster." And you would be wrong. It's mid-2019, and the Pensacola market had moved significantly since I sold it in early 2018. The custom work they'd done throughout the property was worth $700,000 or more. I wasn't buying a problem, I was buying a $700,000 asset for $632,000. That's $68,000 of equity on day 1. And the lawsuit disappears. No settlement, no admission of wrongdoing, no check written for something I didn't do. So I bought it back. And instead of immediately listing it, I looked at what the market was doing. Airbnb was exploding. Short-term rentals were everywhere, and a waterfront house in Pensacola, Florida with a dock, water views, and a great layout. I furnished it, put it on Airbnb, and it crushed. For about a year and a half, that house was producing real income. Not just sitting on my balance sheet appreciating, it was working. Then in 2021, post-COVID, the market was on fire. Everybody wants waterfront property, a house like this, so I list it at $750,000. I get it under contract in just a couple weeks for $710,000. The buyer is over the moon. He's moving his whole family to Pensacola. This is his dream home. He's already planning what he's gonna do with it. And then, a week before closing, a hurricane hits. Cat 1 hurricane, not even a serious storm by Florida standards. Everyone stayed put, nobody even evacuated. But it hit the bay exactly at high tide, and it just erased the whole first floor. Furniture, gone. Deck, gone. Dock and boat lift, just piling, sticking out of the water. Everything else is gone. The fiberglass pool in the backyard was lifted completely out of the ground. I drove 3 miles in every direction looking for the pool table, and I never found it. I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen a lot of hurricane damage. I've never seen anything like that from a storm that small. The buyer still wanted this house though. He was gonna fix it up himself, do it his way, and so we negotiated and he offered to still buy it for $400,000. $310,000 less than our original contract. I had wind insurance, I had flood insurance. The insurance company paid out roughly $100,000 after all of my attorney fees. I ended up selling for $400,000, took my money and moved on. 5 years, 2 sales, 1 lawsuit, 1 buyback, 18 months of Airbnb income, a hurricane, an insurance company that still owes me money. Here's what all of that taught me and what you can take from it, whether you're flipping houses, watches, cars, or anything else. Lesson 1, your liability doesn't end at the closing table. When I took that $20,000 loss in January 2018 and handed those keys to that couple from Alabama, I thought I was done with this deal. I was not done. 14 months later, an attorney showed up with a $100,000 demand. Here's what nobody tells you about flipping houses. Your legal exposure doesn't disappear the moment you close. A buyer can come back 2 years later with an attorney and a story, and it doesn't matter whether the story is true or not. Now, in my case, the claims weren't true at all. I hadn't covered anything up, but not true doesn't protect you if you can't prove it. What protected me was documentation, inspection reports, contractor invoices, disclosure forms with signatures, repair receipts, before and after photos tied to specific dates. But here's the reality. When you're sitting in a mediation room 2 years after a deal closes, your memory isn't going to save you. Your paperwork will. Here's the framework I now use on every single flip to protect myself. Treat every deal like you're going to get sued on it in 2 years, because you just might. That means get a license inspection report before you start renovation and after you finish. Document every single repair with a written invoice from a licensed contractor, not cash, not a handshake, written. Fill out every disclosure form completely and keep a signed copy in your files. Photograph every room and every system before you close the deal. This isn't paranoia. This is the cost of being in this business professionally. If you're flipping now and you don't have a documentation system, stop after this video and build one. Do it before your next deal closes. You only need to get burned once to understand why this matters. And if you want mine, I put all of my systems, all of my process, all my procedures, all my documentation inside of 7-Figure Flipping. If you want to check it out, the link's in the description. Lesson number 2, every problem has an equity angle if you're willing to look for it. When that lawsuit hit, the path of least resistance was clear. Write a check, settle, and move on. Most people would have done exactly that. And a lot of people told me that's exactly what I should do. But before I agreed to anything, I asked myself a different question. Not how do I get out of this, but what does the market look like right now? And when I actually looked at it clearly, the market had moved up significantly since I sold in 2018. And the buyers had improved the property. I had the capital to act, and the as-is value was meaningfully higher than they were asking. The lawsuit wasn't just a legal problem. It was a buying opportunity wearing a lawsuit costume. I bought a $700,000 asset for $632,000. 70 grand of equity day one, and the legal problem evaporated. Now, here's the universal principle behind that decision. In real estate and in any asset-based decision, your best buying opportunities almost always come dressed as your worst problems. Distressed sellers, falling out of contract, legal disputes, estate situations, divorce, partnerships that went bad. None of these are fun, but every single one creates motivated counterparties. And motivated counterparties create price inefficiencies you can act on. That doesn't mean you manufacture problems or take advantage of people in bad situations. It means you can stay calm when chaos hits, and most people don't. When something goes wrong on a deal, before you react, before you call your attorney, before you do anything, sit down and answer one question. Where is the equity right now? If there's equity and you have the capital to act on it, you might not have a problem at all. You might have a deal. Lesson number 3. Insurance is a starting point, not a safety net. I had wind insurance, I had flood insurance. I thought I was protected. Then a Cat 1 baby hurricane hit at high tide. The first floor of my house was completely washed away into Pensacola Bay, and the insurance company only paid out roughly $100,000 on a property that needed $300,000 of work. And I'm still fighting for the rest years later. Here's what nobody tells you about property insurance, especially on high-value waterfront homes like this. Filing the claim is round 1. The fight starts there. Insurance companies have adjusters whose entire job is to minimize your payout. They argue scope, they argue cause, they argue depreciation, they argue whether something was pre-existing, and they are very, very good at it. Unless you know how to fight back, or you have someone in your corner who does, you're gonna get significantly less than what you're owed almost every single time. Here's the framework I now use on every property I own. First, read your policy before disaster hits. Not after, before. Understand your coverage limits, your deductible structure, your flood zone designation, and what's specifically excluded. Pay an insurance attorney for 2 hours to walk you through it if you need to. That 2-hour consultation will be worth way more than almost anything else you could spend your money on in this business. Second, build a cash reserve that assumes insurance will cover half of what it should. Because in my experience, that's optimistic. If the worst happens and insurance actually pays out fully, great, you've got extra reserves. Third, know what a public adjuster is. A public adjuster works for you, not the insurance company. They know how to document claims, how to negotiate with carriers, and how to fight for a number that actually reflects the damage. Having one already in mind before you need them is the difference between a smooth claims process and a 3-year battle like mine. I sold that house for $400,000. $310,000 below where I was contracted to sell it for just a week prior because of a hurricane I couldn't control. That part is just business. There's no framework for a Cat A hurricane hitting at high tide. You just can't predict that. But the gap between what the insurance company paid and what they owed, that gap was closable with better preparation, and that's on me. Here's the meta lesson I want you to walk away with. You don't control the market. You don't control the weather. You don't control whether some attorney decides to make you her next target. Those things are gonna happen. Some version of them will happen to every flipper who does this long enough. What you control is your documentation, your decision-making under pressure, and whether you can find the equity angle when everything looks like chaos. The flippers who build real wealth over time are not the ones who never get hit. They're the ones who get hit, stay calm, look for the angle, and show up for the next deal. This house was not my best deal, not even close, but it probably was my best story. And the frameworks it forced me to build, I use them on every single flip I do now, and they've saved me far more than this deal ever cost me. And speaking of making decisions under pressure with real money on the line, next week I'm breaking down a watch flip where I had $90,000 sitting on a table and the market started moving against me mid-hold. The decision I had to make in real time and the exact logic I used to make it is something you can apply to anything you're holding right now. After that, I'm walking through a mobile home deal that generated more cash-on-cash return than most of my house flips combined. Lower price point, faster cycle, same principles. And then I'm not even gonna tell you what the asset is. I'll just say it has a big engine, it flies, and it cost me more than this Pensacola house. If you wanna learn how to flip anything, houses, watches, cars, planes, beef, whatever's got a margin in it, subscribe right now. I drop a new deal breakdown every single week. Every one teaches you a different framework you can apply to your deals. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had a buyer back out at the worst possible moment? Or gotten a demand letter after a sale you thought was done? I read every single comment and respond. Tell me what happened. I'll see you on the next video.